Hello and welcome to The Big Show. Welcome to Season 2 of Dim Lights and Stiff Drinks. We're interested in those roadhouses, taverns, and watering holes with a long history and hopefully a seedy backstory. And since Season 2 does all the Pioneer Square bars, there's no shortage of seedy backstory. And this place we're at tonight is pretty special.
This is pretty awesome.
This is one of the 4 oldest bars in Seattle. It's 1890, is that right?
Yes.
1890.
Yes.
So there you go.
Did you say the oldest or
Well, we
one
haven't solved
of
that
the
yet.
oldest?
It's one of the
Yeah, I
oldest.
said one of
you
the
got-
oldest.
Okay, all right.
One of the 4 oldest.
You got to watch your superlatives.
We're still in our investigative pursuit to find the answer to that. And we
Nice.
will. We shall. We shall get to the bottom
Yeah.
of it.
Don't jump the gun.
And then we're reporting downstairs, and just to tell you how old it is, there's ghosts walking around. There's literally holes in the wall. It's part of the catacombs.
And it smells like earth down here.
Yeah, we are
You know, it smells like a
underground.
basement. Yeah.
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 Very musky.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to the house band.
We'll call it Earth. Sure. Exactly. Waka waka.
All right, shout out to the house band, Satan's Pilgrims. Thank you for all the good music. As always, I'm here with the guys, producer extraordinaire Bob Trombley.
Hey now.
Bob Haynow Trombley, putting 2 and 2 together, make the whole thing go. To my right is resident suds gourmand Jeremy,
Jay Dizzle.
Jay Dizzle in the house, and to my left is resident historian Brad.
How's everyone doing?
We're doing good. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you were showing me some really cool stuff earlier. Brad collects Seattle memorabilia, bar stuff. Mm-hmm. We've got the original flyer from the first Fat Tuesday in Pioneer Square.
Yeah, from 77.
So
We
there's
we
a
were
lot
talking
of
about
stuff
Fat
there.
Tuesday in the previous episode.
That's right.
Yeah, we did. Covered in the Central. So
Oh, and Central last week, where we did the podcast, shout out to them. They bought their building
yes.
this week.
Yeah.
Congratulations, guys.
Hear,
Glad they're
hear.
staying around.
Congratulations to the Central. They pulled it off. Brad,
Yep.
you know a little bit about that transaction?
Not really. I mean, just what they reported in the newspaper, which basically the building was up for sale. The owners thought they were going to get booted, like some, wealthy new owner was going to buy it and turn it into condos. But it sounds like at the 11th hour, they were able to take control of it and buy it, and so it's sticking around.
Nice.
I believe
They were
that's
they
how
were
it
able to
works.
stave off gentrification,
And
That's right.
which
here's
does
the-
not happen very often in Seattle. That's
well,
for damn sure.
Here's the dirty secret, though. You can't build shit here, right? Every one of these buildings is historically landmark,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
you haven't seen anything built in Pioneer Square, have you?
You
in your life?
can't build it, but you can renovate it into different use.
Yep.
Oh, you
could
can
turn
make it
that
a
building-
bougie little hotel.
Yeah, or condos or whatever.
It
they
can
want to
be
use.
an Old Navy as long as it has the brick facade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right on. So, tell us a little bit about the Merchants, Brad. What happened in 1890?
So the history of the Merchants Cafe, it begins in 1864. So in 1864, the spot that currently inhabits where we're at now was a 2-story building on what was then known as Mill Street, but would later be
Yesler,
changed
right?
to Yesler Way. That's right. The top floor of that original building was a photography studio where E.M. Samus took the only known photograph of Doc Maynard as well as Chief Seattle. So there's only 2 photos
Nice.
of them, and it was taken at that here in the original building. The bottom floor housed at various times a grocery store, a saloon, and a barber shop. On June 6, 1889, the building was destroyed, along with much of the rest of the city in the Great Seattle Fire. It's worth pointing out that when this happened, Seattle was still a major lumber
That was
town.
like 1890, right?
1889 was the Great Seattle Fire.
Okay.
And basically, we were a lumber town, and so every building was built of wood. And
Right.
so that's why everything just went up so easily and just so fast.
Tinderbox.
It was just a big tinderbox. Afterwards, everyone kind of had their aha moment and realized that maybe everything shouldn't be made of wood, and so they basically rebuilt all these buildings in brick, which we see today.
They've read The 3 Little Pigs, right? You know how that shit goes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, after he huffed and puffed and blew them all down, they built a brick. And this includes this building, which was rebuilt in brick. It was then owned by a man by the name of John Hall Sanderson. So 2 weeks after the fire, Sanderson began his plans to rebuild, and he announced that the new building would be built of quote-unquote brick, terracotta stone, and iron decorations. The new building was constructed in 1890, and designed by W.E. Boone, who was a direct descendant of Daniel Boone, which is kind of cool. He probably always gets confused with Davy Crockett, huh? Because they both wear the same hat. As soon as it was rebuilt, Sanderson put a liquor store / cafe on the bottom floor and a hotel on the top 2 floors and named his new establishment the Merchant's Cafe. So yeah, it started in
Nice.
1890. In 1898, it was sold to a man by the name of F.X. Schreiner, or FX as he was known, who had become wealthy as a gold miner up in the Klondike. So yeah, this was during the Alaskan Gold Rush days. And Schreiner used the cafe as a bank on the weekends, paying miners in cash for their gold, in which he reportedly would cash out as much as $100,000 in gold over an average weekend. So he was making some bank.
100K in 1889.
Yeah, the gold rush days, the gold was plentiful back then. In fact, he also accepted gold dust as a payment for drinks.
Sure, why not?
And they have the original scale up there. So the way it would work is, the miners usually carried their gold around in these little pouches called pokes. And if they wanted a drink, you would just side up to the bar and sprinkle a little dust in the scale. And if that's how
yeah.
you pay for your drink. They would measure it and be like, okay, you can get 2 drinks
And
with
a
that.
very minute amount for the tip jar.
Yeah. But it's crazy to think that you could pay in gold dust.
Very similar in the 80s, only it wasn't gold.
Yeah. You're probably right. Also, scales were used in the 80s.
Teaching the metric system to our children for 100 years.
One drink at a time.
So naturally, this was a big hangout and drinking space during the Gold Rush days. It was during the Gold Rush days that Schreiner recognized how lucrative prostitution could be in a town full of lonely lumberjacks and gold miners, and so began
Light bulb
operating.
went off. Yeah.
Yeah, let's not treat him like a genius. He's not Jeff Bezos.
We're like, wait a second.
Well, and I think there was several guys.
There's a
that,
need here.
I think several guys had that epiphany back then.
They might want some liquor, too.
So he began operating a brothel upstairs, and suddenly the upstairs apartments began to accept hourly rentals. Now, this was a fun part of the story to research online as far as the newspaper archives went, because I found some very interesting classified ads from this time for this space. 1898, there was an ad saying, "Wanted, German girl for general housework, inquire upstairs." And of course, that upstairs was where the brothel was, which is a weird advertisement. Like, why was he specifying a German girl? I wonder why.
Fetish.
You think that's what it was?
Yeah.
Well, what if a Swedish woman walked in and applied? Do you think they would just
Get
say,
out!
"Sorry, you're not German"?
Oh, looking for a nice frau.
He's had good experience with Germans.
Yeah. Well,
That's
and Schreiner's
actually-
German-sounding name, so maybe he was just,
Oh, true.
So this
wanting someone from his own
Sounded
country.
like you were starting to read The Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Is that what it was based on?
must be able to carry a tune. Yeah. This FX Schreiner guy, any relation to FX McCrory?
No.
The
No.
last names are the things that relate people to each other.
Okay, got it.
No, but I mean, to your point, it is kind of weird that there's 2 FXs. Like,
Two
in
prominent
this area.
FXs
not a
in Seattle.
common.
Yeah.
Not a common
and,
acronym.
And Brad, what does FX stand for?
I don't know.
Do you know?
No.
Well, I think F is
that's what I'm
Fred,
asking.
but
I have no idea.
Well,
I think the first one is Frederick, but I don't know what the X.
Frederick
Xavier, maybe. I don't
Xavier?
know.
Is there any
Frederick
name
Xavier?
besides Xavier?
I don't know.
Next
That's
names?
just, I think that's what
That's
it might
it.
be.
We're going to Google
you
that
go.
shit. There we go.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah, we got our friend Lloyd recording with us tonight, and he's our Google guy. So when we need to look shit up, he's here giving us that, providing that service for us.
who now?
Schreiner.
Or Schwenker?
I found a 1901 ad.
Get all the FXs.
Yeah,
See what's on tonight on FX.
yeah. I found a 1901 ad for Madame LaRoche offering vapor baths and a massage.
Vapor
that
baths.
sounds intriguing.
Yeah,
Huh.
right. Yeah, I don't know
Yes,
what
please.
I don't know what vapor baths are. Maybe just
There's only one way to find out.
Exactly.
You got her number?
yeah.
YOLO.
And then I found a 1902 ad for seamstresses. So back during the Gold Rush days, the word seamstress was often used as a code word for prostitute.
Okay.
And at the upstairs, you can see a number of like paintings and photographs. And apparently, according to legend here, these were paintings of seamstresses. So the way it would work is they worked as like a menu. So the guys would go upstairs, they'd look at all the different paintings that were available up there and say, I want that one, and point to which one he wanted. And then he would go in, and now these were seamstresses, remember? So he'd go in and get his trousers hemmed. Do you guys know what I mean when I
No,
Are you getting my
don't-
drift? Are you
don't-
picking up what I'm putting down?
don't quite understand that.
Let me measure your
That's-
inseam.
Yeah. That's a great euphemism. Say it
Google
again.
measure my inseam.
having their trousers hemmed?
Having your trousers hemmed by a seamstress.
Yeah.
All right, quick
That's
pop
great.
culture reference.
Okay.
Sylvester Stallone. I'm a seamstress.
What movie is that from?
Demolition Man.
Very
Oh, nice.
Carry on.
Okay, okay.
Did he get his trousers hemmed in that one?
I don't know. I don't think I saw that one, Demolition Man.
Very topical right
Go
now.
watch it now. Look for that scene, and it takes
It'll
on a
explain
completely
everything?
different meaning now.
Okay.
All right, Bob, hit pause.
Do you ever think, though, that there were like confused miners that took the seamstress ad literally and went up there fully intending
To get their clothes repaired?
yeah, like went up there with their armful of shirts? Do you think that ever happened? I bet it must have at least once,
You're like,
right?
you know how to thread a bobbin? Let's go.
I'm sure there are a lot of people acting surprised.
She's like, yeah, I can fix your shirts.
Or is that, or that's just what they told their wives, right? I swear they said they were a seamstress.
Yeah.
That's right. That'd be like, in today's dollars, it'd be like, yeah, I can hem your shirts. How much? $300 for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
What? You must be really good.
Well, inflation.
So anyway, so this FX Schreiner guy, he operated merchants from 1900 to 1923, and then sold it to his nephew John Schreiner, who ran it from 1923 to 1965. And then after him, another Schreiner family member ran it. In fact, it managed to stay in the Schreiner family until 1985, when it was finally sold to somebody outside the family. So that means the Schreiner family basically were running things here for almost 100 years, including during
Wow.
Prohibition. During Prohibition, which began here in Washington State in 1916, merchants operated as a soda parlor. So during Prohibition, especially the soda
Heard about
parlor.
this in the past?
Yeah, we talked about this, and it was just a code word for speakeasy.
Right.
And if you went in, it looked like a regular soda fountain. They had
Yeah, like a
soda offering, but
soda jerk.
throw the guy a wink and a nudge, and some extra money, and get some extra
Throw some
fuel
whiskey
thrown
in
into
that,
your
soda.
A
Yeah,
little extra spritzer.
And have your suit tailored.
yeah. Your trousers hemmed. Immediately after Prohibition was repealed in 1933, merchants began serving beer again. In 1938, there was apparently a fire in the downstairs bar, which is where we are right now, all by ourselves, and 2 children died in that fire, which kind of begs the question, like, what were 2 kids doing down here in the bar?
Well,
in the
probably
30s?
like just the
Yeah.
kids of someone who worked here.
Yeah, that's what I was
and
thinking.
Maybe.
Yeah,
They
probably
were
Maybe.
playing
Down here
downstairs.
playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Going to work with the.
Sounds a little suspect.
Broke
to me,
into the
but you know, right.
place.
It was a daycare, aka
Daycare.
the
Bar
dungeon.
/ daycare.
Oh, wait, we got a news flash. Lloyd, tell us about
Franz Xavier Schreiner.
Franz
FX.
Xavier Schreiber.
Franz.
So that's
Franz.
very German
Very
name.
German. So
Yeah.
now we know why he's probably
Yeah, he-
specifying German girls.
He needs to communicate with the family.
Yeah,
not with-
yeah.
He knows what he likes.
He knows what he likes.
Yeah, no.
Fast forward to the 1960s, Pioneer Square had become very old and dilapidated and neglected, while the downtown corridor was built up next to it. And so the whole neighborhood fell into disrepair and basically became just a big, huge slum. This was before Seattle's historic preservation movement took hold, and so the plan at that time was basically to condemn all the buildings here, tear them down, and build up, new buildings in their place. At the same time, though, a robust historical preservation movement had taken hold in the city. Groups such as Allied Arts had emerged and were active in preserving the historical character of Seattle.
what kind of year are we talking here?
This is in the early 60s.
Okay.
Early 60s, yeah. So they were saving all these old buildings from the wrecking ball. The Pike Place
Right.
Market was, really
Friend-
close to being torn down.
Friends of the market.
Friends of the Market,
Yeah.
and then here in Pioneer Square, too. In fact, from this movement, people like Bill Spidell, who founded the Seattle
yeah.
Underground, and Victor Steinbruch, who helped save Pike Place Market, and there's a park in his name next to
Among
the market.
countless other Seattle,
Yeah.
he saved a lot of Seattle buildings. Put
He
them
did.
under
Yeah.
national what's that called again, Brad?
The Historical Register.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So they set out to save Pioneer Square. From their efforts, Pioneer Square was declared an historic site, which prevented any further demolition of any of its buildings. And in 1970, the 16 square block neighborhood was placed on the National Register of Historic Places.
Nice.
This led to several.
Bad news, Old Navy.
Yeah, right. I don't think Old Navy was
Take a
back
hike,
then, but-
Gap.
Yeah. So this led to several historical important buildings being restored back to their original luster, including Merchants Cafe, which had actually been boarded up and abandoned for a few years. In 1972, so it got renovated and underwent a complete renovation, in fact, and reopened for business in 1973. The newly renovated Merchants was purchased by a local musician, Greg Raleigh, who had just left his duties as a keyboardist for Santana.
That's,
Have you heard of this guy before?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard of
figured
Santana.
Actually,
Well, have you heard
can
of Raleigh?
Can you look up
Greg
Lloyd?
Raleigh. And the last
Greg
name is
Ro-
spelled R-O-L-I-E.
Yeah, he's played with a lot of people.
Was he a
I think
Northwest
he's a
native?
very famous
I think he was.
keyboardist.
Well, in fact,
right?
so Raleigh and his father operated Merchants for several years until the late 70s when Raleigh sold the Merchants in order to become the keyboardist for Journey. So yeah, he played with a bunch
Oh,
of bands.
boy.
Yeah.
Guy gets around.
Yeah.
He's in the Greg Raleigh band now, actually.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
He has his own band, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy
Yeah.
that he ended up in that band.
Is that
That's
the?
ironic.
Yeah. Oh, that. You remember the Separate Ways video where Journey's playing in a business park?
I don't remember the video just because it's
He
been
was
so
in
long since I've seen it.
Santana, too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the interesting thing about Journeys because, like, except for Steve Perry, they were Santana before they were even Journey. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing that out there. So
Huh.
here's Greg Raleigh from. I mean, well.
Okay, handsome looking
Rolling
fella.
Stone, but look at that hair. That's Santana at Woodstock, man.
Oh, nice.
Was he at Woodstock, Greg Raleigh?
Yeah.
The guy that owned the Merchants? That's cool.
Yeah, I'd fucking love to meet him.
So yeah, further proof that everything comes from Seattle.
Yeah,
Yes.
as they say.
Yep.
You know
It's
who
true.
else was at Woodstock, Hendrix? I don't have to Google that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, historian Lloyd.
He's also from Seattle.
Thank you. Thank you again. Historian Lloyd.
You're connecting all the dots.
Great.
So since that time, the Merchants has maintained itself as an historic eating and drinking establishment that continues to attract thousands of visitors every year. And like many other buildings in Pioneer Square, Merchants Cafe has had its share of ghostly sightings.
I mean, we're literally in a fucking dungeon right now. Behind Jeremy,
Oh, I
there's
know.
iron bars blocking off a passageway to the depths of hell.
Well, if
Creepy
there was
ass
ever going to be
brick
a
and-
ghost in any kind of place, this would be it. I mean, this
Yeah.
just looks like prime ghost material.
Not to mention, we know now 2 kids have lost their lives.
Lost
down
their
here.
life down here. So, and so people see the ghost of the kids down here. It's a
Yeah.
common ghost sighting.
I believe it.
And did I mention we're down here by ourselves? It's like very dim.
Spooky as fuck down here.
Each other.
Yeah.
That's true. Hey guys, let's split up and go
Lloyd,
explore.
sorry,
You go
Lloyd,
down
you're
that
pretty
dark
spooky.
tunnel, and I'll go down this one.
What's this dripping blood on the wall? Let's go check it out.
I heard a wrestling. It sounded like wrestling chains.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go
I need to
towards
go
it.
investigate that. Yeah.
Zoinks.
The ladies' bathroom is supposedly haunted by one of the seamstresses. And like I said, the ghost of the 2 kids who died in that 1938 fire supposedly haunt down here. The seamstress ghost, though, seems to be the most predominant apparition, with several reports of a woman's voice whispering into men's ears, but then when they turn around, nobody is there. And of course, there's the usual paranormal activity of doors mysteriously closing and opening, and that kind of thing. So.
Well, the lack of patrons in the establishment right now would allow us to go investigate the women's bathroom and confirm whether or not there are ghosts in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've been to a lot of places that have
Not a
supposedly
perv,
have
just
been
investigating
haunted.
ghost stories.
Yeah. But we've been, I wonder if we're ever going to have some kind of paranormal experience of our own during recording one of these.
You know, or maybe I pick it up on post audio afterwards when I listen to it on the headphones, picking some little voices.
Cut this part out, Bob. We should fake that shit.
I got some chains in the trunk. I'm gonna rattle them around.
We'll do a little paranormal activities. What's that?
We'll get
The
one of
TV
those
show
like
called?
infrared microphones
Yeah,
or
yeah,
some
yeah.
shit, and like,
That's how that works.
yeah,
Yep.
that's how it works. Yeah, we know the technology.
See?
So anyway,
Yes.
the cafe retains much of its pioneer flavor, including, the bar upstairs was actually shipped here from Cape Horn in the late 1800s, and that's up there. And of course, if you just look around, I mean, there's all kinds of old photographs and stuff. This place it's kind of like a museum. There's an old scale and safe and cash register back from the gold rush days, and all kinds of remnants of its old past. And of course, at the back of the bar, you will still see the picture gallery that burly lumberjacks and miners pointed to as they chose their companions for the evening. Indeed, the Merchants Cafe certainly embraces their past, as some of their promotional material proclaims only a mere shell of its former decadence. And with that,
What do you think about what he just said? What's some reactions you got?
Well, you mentioned a couple places. This have been some different businesses over the years. Very common in some places we've been to, right? So it was a soda bar, wink, wink.
Yep.
Right, as a cafe, all sorts of different stuff. If you go out into the street, looking into the place, it's still got the original, what looks like all the original kind of facade work and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Very, very old, but it looks like a theater. Right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like
I didn't think
it
of
almost
that, but
looks like
yeah.
there used to be like a little booth there to buy tickets. And so it has a very much like kind of a theater.
Now that
feel
you
to
say
it,
that,
right?
very much so,
Huh.
actually.
Yeah, and I was almost expecting the history to be like, oh, at some point it was a theater or a burlesque
Or it
show.
could have been
or
like what they were called box houses,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think
which
it was a
like
box house,
part theater,
which is kinda
part
surprising.
brothel,
Yeah.
part gambling joint.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was a box.
This
house.
wasn't one of Constantine's.
No, it wasn't one of Constantine's
So the thing is,
box houses.
what looked like it maybe was a theater was actually kind of old school like diner type of facade out front.
Yeah,
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 totally. Yeah.
Or to draw you in, maybe.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a great look. I mean, walk in doesn't
It does look cool, and it looks different.
does not
strikingly
look like a
different.
bar when you're
No.
walking by.
Yep.
Good. Were
Ghosts
you
of
going to
Plenty.
say something?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah.
So we're in the cafe here in the lower level,
This is like the lower bar is what they call it, but yeah.
right? But because this was all the ground floor, at what year was? The
Oh,
regrade?
like,
Did
yeah,
they
That was
regrade?
after.
Back before the turn of the century, right?
Yeah, so the Great Fire was in 1889, and then once I think like within the next 10 years is when they started building like pretty much the new Seattle was built on top of it.
Right.
So we're looking at like
so, right,
1900 or
That's where they
so.
took the top of Queen Anne and the
Yeah.
top of Capitol Hill, and threw
Yeah.
them in the.
But to your point,
threw them in the bay along
yeah, I believe
with
this may have been like street level
This
at one
is
point
the
because that looks
destruction
like
of the fire.
Look at the
that looks
archway.
like the street. Yeah, that looks like an entrance.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's pretty neat to think
is pretty-
that-
yeah, it is pretty
and then
wild.
To your
Yeah.
point, they were like, well, yeah, we're the Merchants Cafe. Come on in. We've got like 10 years experience.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's so. Yeah, we're down in the basement, and there's a brick wall on one side with iron grated
with the
gate
clear
in
like
front of it.
bricked entrance.
Anyway, we'll post a picture of it.
Yeah.
But that was the entrance. So you're right. When they took the top of Queen Anne and Capitol Hill and the remnants from the fire and built this place up,
Yeah.
the entrance is now a floor above. But back in the day, this was
Yeah.
street level.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What you drinking, Jeremy?
I am drinking. Well, shit, I don't even know what I'm drinking here. Give me a second.
All right, what you drinking, Brad?
I'm drinking a wheat beer from what's the name of the brewery? Jeremy's drinking it too. It's
Narrows.
Narrows.
Narrows
Oh,
brewing out
Narrows
of
Brewing
in
Tacoma,
Tacoma,
right?
yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Nice.
A nice, little bit lighter, a wit, almost a Hefeweizen, but not quite a Hefeweizen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's quite tasty.
It is pretty good.
Yeah.
A quarter Weizen, yes.
Oh,
Nice.
And I like a tip of the hat to Galloping Gertie there.
Galloping Gertie?
Yeah. The Tacoma Narrows. Bitch.
Oh, right.
Oh,
I knew that.
If you haven't,
hell are you talking
if no
about?
one knows what we're talking about, go to your YouTube and type in Galloping Gertie. It was an earthquake and the Tacoma Narrows Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
That, you
Oh,
know
yeah.
it.
Yep.
Everybody's seen
Well, I
it.
think it was a windstorm actually.
It's
It was-
buckling side to side like swinging two jump ropes, and somehow the fucker didn't fall down.
Still does that every
Well, it did
couple of
fall
weeks.
down. It actually did, fall,
did
down.
fall down.
It was an engineering mishap.
It looks like an engineering
As they-
miracle that it held together that long, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
not giving
but that's
too much
ultimately what.
shit.
Well, no, that's ultimately why it fell down. It was like an engineering error, and it was a windstorm, and it just started like woo, like you said, if you go on YouTube, and that's
Yeah.
what it boiled down to. Like some engineer fucked up somewhere, and that's
Well,
what led to its
I
downfall.
just think he didn't take the idea far enough because he was like, it needs to be some elasticity so that it's fun if there's an earthquake.
That's what people love in a
Right.
bridge as they're driving on their
If
cars.
it
They
didn't fall
love.
down,
Yeah.
you'd have a story to tell.
Like Disneyland.
That's right.
Again, Daddy, again.
Get me off this ride.
I'm drinking if you ever come down to the Merchants, you can have what's called a Happy Meal.
Is that what that's called?
Yep.
What was the in the shot?
It's a fry and a cheeseburger, and it comes with a kids' drink of your choice. No, it's a shot of Jameson and a tall boy of Rainier.
Okay.
And that's a Happy Meal.
What-
$11.
What toy did you get?
Exactly.
Buzz Lightyear from
Nice.
the new Disney movie
Nice.
coming out.
To
Yeah.
infinity
Killer.
and beyond.
Right. So yeah, anything else you want to tell us about the taps here? Did you do a tap report, Jay?
Yeah, for sure. So we always talk about like what you're drinking and what you got, right? So there's lots of places we've been to where we talk about like this is the classic selection of beers for a good dive bar or whatever, and we talk about like even the diviest of dive bars have got like some good local micros and stuff.
Yep.
I have to say, Merchants Cafe is getting kind of top of my list for favorite tap selection.
Really?
Oh, okay.
I've missed everything.
Yeah, and not for the reasons you think, right?
I just got the Happy Meal.
It actually,
They had some interesting
the
choices.
fact that they have a Happy Meal, that gives them like 1 or 2 stars right there, just by itself.
That's like a baseline of 2.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're starting off pretty good, right? But the selection is not that big, so it's not like, oh my god, the selection's so awesome. That's why I love this place. It's not like good looking and pretty, right? And it's not even like a selection of beers that are like, oh, these are the best of the best beers, or whatever. But if you walk in the joint, let me paint a picture for you. Like you walk
Yep.
in the joint, walk up to the bar, and you're trying to decide what to drink. What do you look? You go and look over at the tap handles. The tap handles are a hot fucking mess of this
Yeah,
place, right?
yeah.
It's like they're
How
all
so?
like crooked and backwards. You can't even read them. And you're just like, what is that beer? And they're like fucked up, and like a lot of them are all worn and rubbed out and shit. You can't even tell, and then, classic dive bar kind of ethos going on here. They're like, where's the bartender? There's like no bartender, know where the hell they are. And then finally, bartender comes over and is like, yeah, what do you want? Like, oh, well, what is that tap on over there? Guy's like, I don't know. Something we had on here last week, whatever. So it's like, you gotta do the research yourself. So there are some awesome beers on tap, but just like
I
aesthetically.
thought I saw like
You just walk up there and you're like, what the fuck? This place is just it's just a fucking clusterfuck, which I think is awesome. Perfect classic dive bar kind of thing going on with the taps.
it's like what do we got? We've got 7 different things.
Yeah, we have some beers, but what
But
what
they had some very obscure beers.
I saw a
noticed.
9-pound
Yes.
hammer. Does
there's
they
some
have
there's some
something
killer
9
shit, and
pound?
we'll get into that in a second though. But what do they not have?
Manny's Boaties. Any Georgetown.
No Manny's or Bodies, right? But they also don't have the classic dive bar
Like Rainier and
draft shit. Like there's no like Schlitz, there's no Coors, there's no
No
Pabst,
PR,
there's
no
no
Rainier.
there's no
One.
Rainier, there's no there's
I think it's probably cheaper to ship cans.
yeah, you got a tall boy Rainier, great. None of that shitty beer on tap.
Yeah.
The most kind of like lightest kind of I don't know dive bar-y-ish kind of beer would be probably like maybe Stellar Artois, but that's pushing it. That is pushing it.
Yeah.
Right? That's not dive bar kind of. Yeah, that's kind of bougie, right? It's like not dive bar kind of stuff. And that's like that's the like most mainstream shit that's on tap. So I love this place. I'm loving it.
I have a question back for Brad. Like, so
Yeah.
you mentioned when they brought the bar over.
Yes.
Go back to that because it is a stunning bar.
It is a
Like,
stunning bar,
It's,
yeah.
Like it's hard to take a picture of it.
Yeah.
It's too big. It's
Yeah.
too beautiful. There's not one like part to like you can't.
You kind of have to see it in person to appreciate it.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
not one like
Nice.
little frame you can take it in on.
Right. That's a good point.
You need
It's
a
true.
macro lens for that.
Yeah.
So that's and to your point, yeah, it's like
And it's like 150 years old at this point. and it's the original one.
From? Say it again.
Cape Horn,
Cape Horn, like
Africa. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It was
That
hand
thing you
carved
sail
there and
around
like
when you're
sent on
trying
a
to go to
ship.
the other side of the world.
Yeah, it wasn't Cape
It's the
Horn.
tip of Africa, right?
It's the tip of Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shipping lane.
I know
Just
some
shipping
pirates down there. Some
Yeah.
Great
good-
point though too about like,
They're, getting
awesome
stared down a
bar.
bar in Cape Horn. They're like, "Fuck it, I hate this bar." They're like,
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna sit. Like, who wants this bar? And like the people in Seattle, they were looking at Craigslist, like Cape Horn's Craigslist, and they were like, "Yeah."
Oh, that's pretty sweet looking bar.
They're
It is
both
a great
across the
point, though.
ocean.
It is
Should
a
we,
killer bar. It has the awesome back bar with the glass and the mirror and the elaborate woodwork and the pillars and
Yeah.
it's got the
stained glass.
it
yeah,
has got
come-
the full meal deal.
It is.
Come
full
down
meal, yeah.
to
Pictures
the
for you
come
of
down
the
to the
menu.
merchants is what we're saying.
Yeah.
We can try to paint a picture, but you haven't been here in a while, obviously. Yeah, for
sure.
You need to come here. When was the last time you were here?
I have never been here.
Either have I.
Never.
Neither have
Yeah.
I. Holy
Yeah.
fuck!
And a
We're
Bob
know, right?
couple
You
of
mentioned
noobs.
Neither have I.
So all
Which
of
is
us are-
pathetic
We're
because this
doing
place
a
is fucking
podcast
awesome.
like
It
we
is
know
awesome.
what the fuck we're
No, I'm
talking
not- I'm
about.
ashamed.
We've never been here.
Oh,
I've never
I was
been
here
here.
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, was it part of the joint cover? I don't see a stage anywhere here. It probably
Well,
was.
it's kind of a little off the beaten path because you have to go around the
Right.
corner on First. So it's not like most people just walk down First and just
Right,
hit whatever.
right.
Walk
This is
past
like
it a million
around the
times.
corner. So I
Heading
think
to
that's probably
Tabs?
why.
Definitely. Yeah.
Let me,
That's cool.
let me just like call our attention. Brad, tell us about Yesler Way and Skid Road.
Oh no, we'll get into that
Yeah.
in
Oh,
Histler.
really? Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
we'll talk
Let's
about
go
where
take
we're
a
at.
halftime and then we'll come back.
Yeah, we're going to talk
Sweet
about
motherfucking
that.
Lou.
What's
where,
up, brother?
Where are we? Where are we at?
We're in Pioneer Square,
Oh, okay, thanks.
home of Edie. Okay, we're going to take round 2 and come back. Hey, Satan's Pilgrims, can you play us out? All right, we're back from round 2. All right, thank you, Satan's Pilgrims. Kicking the jams while we were outside. So, Jeremy, what are you drinking for round 2?
Well, we had to get around to, and this is a first for me in the podcast. It's not a beer, and don't you dare
Is it
fucking call
whiskey?
it. No, it's not whiskey.
Hard liquor?
It's
Is
not
it
a
wine?
beer.
It has
It's not-
hard liquor.
Shut up! Oh, y'all, shut up!
All right.
Don't call it a frosé because it's not a frosé, although it looks like a frosé. It is a frozen blood orange margarita on draft up at the bar. They got one of those like crazy ass like slushy machines with the little swirly, right? It's all crusty with ice and crap like that. And I was like, what is that? And at first the bartender thought it was frosé, and I was like, nah, pass. I'm not gonna drink that shit, right? And she's like, oh wait. Actually, we swapped it out. It's blood orange now. I was like, oh, blood orange what?
Ooh la
blood
la.
orange margarita, and it's quite delicious, I have to say.
Blood orange margarita. I got the same thing.
Yep.
And it's delicious.
Boozy and
and,
delicious.
I have one on the way.
and Brad's got one on the way. And here's a pro tip. I hear a good friend of ours, Avout. He owns Shorty's in Belltown,
Sure,
and he
yeah.
also owns the Meyer, which is literally on the other side of the wall here.
Yep.
Okay.
It's
Yep,
on
right
that
next
street
door.
back there on the
Kind of right
on
yep,
the
around
border
the
of
corner.
the park.
Okay.
And he has some slushy machine drinks, like Jimmy Buffett, that he was telling me that if you ever buy one of those, it's always a good buy because you have to put a lot of booze in it or it'll freeze up.
Does he have a frosé?
I don't, probably not.
I don't think that's his style.
Yeah.
I don't think he rolls like that.
Is that literally?
Good. I like that place better.
Are you talking about like wine?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the
Oh,
You
yeah.
seem to be pretty
Bullshit.
knowledable about this frosé,
Well,
Jeremy.
they're super fucking
Explain
popular in
yourself.
Seattle. It's
Really?
super. Oh yeah, they're all over the place in Seattle. It's
I don't like wine.
frosés, man. Frosés, all over the place. I'm not down with them. Not down with them.
Cool.
The blood orange margarita, on the other hand, I'm here for that.
It's good.
Brad, do you approve of the beverage?
I do approve of it. I usually don't get these kind of drinks.
We
but
also
this
have
is-
another
just look
update
good.
to the tap list that I was kind of bagging on, but also saying that it was like fucking the best dive
Perfect.
bar, but whatever. They have hidden taps. Hidden taps.
Hidden taps.
Well, not really that hidden. Their regular tap handles are on the bar,
Right.
which you just described as like it is a fucking epic, awesome, big, old school wooden bar. But on the old school, cool ass wooden bar back with all the mirrors and the woodwork and everything, there's another row of taps
I didn't even see him.
that are all like rusty and geeked out and shit. But there's one that's working out of like 4 or 5.
Nice.
The rest of them are all like busted up and shitty and whatever. But there's one Michelob Ultra back there.
Oh, okay.
Just one update.
Ultra.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Good
Gotta
for the
update everybody.
waistline.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's to clean all the pipes. They just like run everyone. They rotate that through there, and they're like that.
Yeah.
Nobody will know that.
Yeah, I'm
might
not
be
here
right.
to judge. I'm not here to judge. It might be their best-selling beer. I don't know. I got to
Hey,
look at the
yeah.
books. Yeah.
It didn't taste the same.
This
I
is
swear.
this
Well,
is
I
going
drank
to go.
my share of Michelob back in the day, so,
Yeah, that was the fancy beer.
no judgment. Yeah.
What was it? The
Gold.
Ultra? The like 1 carb,
Oh,
23
no,
calories
no,
bullshit
no,
kind of.
no.
Okay,
For
good.
after your
good.
run.
This is way off topic.
or before you run.
This is way off topic, but I like Midsummer Murders, which is a British Columbo kind of crime show. Whenever they go into the pub, the guy pumps it. Like you don't just pull it once and open it up.
For
It's-
Michelob Ultra?
No, for beers.
Oh
For
yeah,
beers over
yeah.
in-
Oh yeah.
What is that in
English
English
style.
pubs?
That's
Oh
a
yeah,
cask-
cask.
cask,
Yeah,
yeah.
A cask draft. Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Why
Okay.
does it have
Pump
to
it.
be pumped? Explain to the listeners.
Because it doesn't have a CO2 cartridge to pump the beer for you, so
Oh.
you gotta
So you're
pump it
manually.
yourself.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Well, that's.
And there's a few places in Seattle that have pump drafts, not on the divey
Beer-
bars that we frequent,
The
but
beer junction in West Seattle from time to time will definitely have
There you
some.
go.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
Those were like
Cascades.
That's cool.
$5 deposits.
Does it supposedly give you a better beer, like a better pour of beer, to hand?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure somebody probably thinks so.
Right.
I don't know. It's just,
Yeah,
right.
It sounds
it's
like
got
it
some
could to me, I
awesome
don't know.
nostalgia. I don't know.
If someone was to sell it to me, I'd be like, okay.
Well, cask beer for
I'll get
sure.
10 of 'em.
There's a whole there's a whole following for cask beers for sure. But just pump style draft, just that mechanism, I don't think really does anything for the beer. It's kind of cool. Kind of
nice.
cool.
All right.
Kind of cool and old school and very
Cool,
British.
cool.
Very British. Oh yeah, very British.
All right, so we're not in Britain now. We're in Pioneer Square,
Drinking our frosés.
drinking our frosés. So let's go into where we at, right?
Where are we at, Lou?
This is the Ground Zero neighborhood, right? This is the place where all the people who all the streets in the city are named after planted their flag.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is where the city had its true origins.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's the mill and
it's true. In 1852, Henry Yesler Way chose this site for his lumber mill, and he was immediately surrounded by the land claimed by Denny Doc Maynard and Arthur Denny Way, no relation, and Carson Boren Avenue. Mm-hmm. Yep, all those guys. Yesler Way, you said, which is originally Mill Street. That's the main east-west street through Pioneer Square, and immediately south of the square itself was the dividing line between Doc Maynard's original claim and Carson Boren's, and that area became known as Deadline.
deadline.
The northern district of the Great Redistricted District. I'm not making that up.
Wow.
Nice.
We'll go into that later. But it was also known as, here's some other historical Pioneer Square nicknames that have been lost over time. Maynard Town.
Maynard
that one.
Town.
Heard that one?
Okay.
Brad? AKA Down on the Sawdust. AKA The Lava Beds.
The lava beds, I've heard that one. That was pretty good.
The Tenderloin.
The Tenderloin.
Yep.
Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Wappyville.
Yep, all of those.
After Charles
Is that a
Wappin.
Billy Squire song?
Wappyville?
No, Whitechapel.
Wappyville was after Charles Wappenstein, a particularly corrupt police chief.
Under Hiram Gill.
Exactly.
Good old Hiram. Yeah.
And this was a place where low entertainment and vice was long tolerated, right? Yeah. One of the earliest names and one that stuck well into the second half of the 20th century was Skid Road.
Skid Row.
Not Skid Row,
Oh,
the metal
okay, sorry,
band.
sorry.
Skid Road.
Which everyone thinks of Los Angeles. Now, I wonder, the Tenderloin, do we have that before San Francisco? Because, the Tenderloin District now, you think of San Francisco. I
Yeah.
wonder if it originated here as well, kind of like
I
Skid
think
Row
it did. I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, like we say,
Once
everything
again,
started in Seattle.
Once again.
Well, on the
and the
Whitechapel one, I heard that they nixed that. I don't know if this is true because Jack the Ripper, that's where he murdered all his victims, was Whitechapel, and they didn't want the association. Oh. I've heard that before. I don't know if it's true.
Bad for business.
Whitechapel got
For a while,
canceled.
it might have been, if Jack the Ripper hadn't happened, we might be sitting in Whitechapel instead of Pioneer
Wow,
Square.
interesting.
Oh, we gave it a bad name.
Yeah.
we didn't
bad
want
for
the
business.
association of Jack the
Wow.
Ripper.
But Whitechapel plaques are still over across the way at Second and Washington
Oh,
or
are they?
so, by Madame Lou's boarding house.
There you go.
Union
Yep.
Gospel Mission.
The Union Gospel, yeah.
That was the,
Yeah.
the Whitechapel district, because there was literally Madame Lou's across the street from
Yeah.
like that church. Like they were it was called the wealthiest part of the city because there was.
But you said there's
Adams-
bricks that still say Whitechapel on them?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, this
Wow,
whole
we didn't know
neighborhood, this whole neighborhood is chock full of little hidden
Yeah.
hints
History. There really
and
is.
reminders of the history. Like, but you
There
would
is.
totally miss it unless
Yeah.
you knew where to look, and like
Yeah.
and there's like whole tours of like all the
Yeah,
cool
that's true.
hidden shit that.
Totally specialized in an entire block because it was just like, by the
Just
pioneers.
dripping in
here.
history,
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah,
and this place, I mean, you could walk by and you think, oh, it's a little theater or a little cafe or whatever, and not know the history, and then walk in here and like, oh, damn, it's like a gill ass dive
Yeah.
bar.
Oh, totally.
Really.
Yeah.
You mentioned the museum.
You've both mentioned before about how we keep finding out that this city is all founded on vice, right?
Oh yeah.
Like when we learned that the
Like any good city.
Yeah, like the Seattle Center was first called the house that Suds built because it was started with the saloon keeper's money. And I found this is a great quote about Pioneer Square from a writer in 1949. Perhaps never in all of America, certainly, or perhaps never in all history, certainly not in America, has there ever existed such a massive collection of the demimonde grouped in a restricted area.
Wait.
That
Quick,
means,
Google Denimond. 'Cause what the hell does that mean?
I looked it up. It means a group having little respect or reputation.
Nice. Yeah.
What'd you call us?
Yeah, Denimond, yo.
Demimonde. Yeah, Pioneer Square had a bunch of what were called parlor houses, which are brothels that are well furnished, sometimes elaborate, with marquees and celebrity madams. Among them, Lou Graham, not the singer from Foreigner, Lila Young, and Raw McRoberts.
Wow.
Great
That's a good
That's
name.
a great name for a
Yeah,
madam.
that's a great name.
Parlor houses were more upstanding in their dealings, so they were completely tolerated by the city at the time, in part because there were plenty more controversial crib houses, which.
Box houses.
So yeah, the city health department conducted inspections and attempted to keep venereal disease under control, but the state of medicine at the time was not such as to give them any great chance of success.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Right? Besides the brothels, there were an ungodly mixture of dives, dumps, pawn shops, hash houses, and dope parlors. More than enough to keep the
Yeah,
police
My kind
guessing.
of place.
Right? And they said, a ton of gambling. Police only dared enter the neighborhood in teams. Brad said there were actually beat cops here, but they were all on the take, right?
Yeah. During Prohibition, the beat cops were all on the take, and they would actually maintain order. It was kind of like protection money almost. They would pay the cops the payoff money, and in exchange, the cops would make sure order was maintained. And
As long as everybody got paid, everything was fine.
exactly, that's just
money-
how things were done. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keep that manila envelope coming.
Nice. There you go. I heard perhaps the only safe haven in the neighborhood was the saloon Our House because they had safe deposit boxes
Our house. Wasn't that
for
a
the
TV
miners
show
to
in the 90s?
keep their little pouches of gold, right?
Whatever.
Yeah. The Popes.
Yeah, all the names you know, Denny Yesler, Doc Maynard, got their land around 1853 under the White Settlers Law. And that is every white male citizen who is at least 18 years of age is entitled to a 320-acre claim in the territory of Oregon, which included what's now Washington. And if he is married, an additional 320 acres be bequeathed to his wife.
Sweet.
So Doc Maynard got 640 acres of what is Pioneer Square today. So don't tell me about fucking bootstraps if all you had to be was 18 and white. You know what I'm saying?
And married.
And married.
And how many city blocks is 600 acres?
A lot.
I
A
know,
lot.
that's amazing.
What is that?
Decent.
Like that's basically Fremont or something, right?
So,
Yeah.
with that, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the Denimond crew?
You want to give ourselves
I
a new
kind of like it
nickname?
as a good ring.
Yeah?
actually.
Demimonde?
Yeah, Denimond.
Dim Lights and Stiff Drinks hosted by the Demimonde.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
I'll mess with it.
We don't even have to
Yeah.
have names.
We'll
It'd be
roll
like
that.
The Blue Man Group. Just like the Demimonde.
Denimond at number 1, Denimond at number 2.
So yeah, I guess the big thing here is in
Denimonder.
1853.
Denimondist.
Like George Foreman naming his kids.
Right.
That's us.
Well, like Slipknot, just numbers 1 through 5.
You guys get your
right?
tickets?
Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, in 1853, Henry Yesler built the sawmill, right? So that's kind of the big sort of ground zero, and that's why I heard. Have you ever heard that Skid Road is because they would skid logs from the hill?
That's
Oh,
where
yeah,
the
that's
name
true.
came from.
That is
Yep,
true.
it's
Yeah.
true.
Totally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's pictures and everything.
100%.
Nice. So before, back when it was Native Americans, Pioneer Square was called Sidzilalich.
What?
Say it.
Sidzilalich?
You nailed it, man.
Nice.
They were mud flats.
Isn't he the one that took on Mothra?
So yeah, it was mud flats and low tide lands, very rich on marine life, and that was where the Duwamish tribe lived, right?
Yeah.
Which translates as people of the inside, literally
Yeah.
where they were away from the coast. But the lumber mill really gave the shaft to the Duwamish tribe because it kicked out a ton of sawdust and it totally choked off the bay, right?
Which was their prime area for all their fishing and hunting and
Yeah.
all their food.
So in 1910, Seattle was the logging capital of the United States.
Yeah.
Right? Everything comes from Seattle.
Once
all right?
again.
All your wood.
Yeah.
Thank you, Seattle. But Sidzilalich was stripped of the forest. And so, yeah, the Duwamish tribe had to work as fishermen and loggers. And let's end it on a sad note. The Duwamish chief was Chief Seal, later called Seattle.
That's right.
He became a Catholic in 1830. He befriended Doc Maynard in 1851.
They were drinking buddies.
Yeah, that's right. And he eventually earned a reputation as a friendly Indian. Friendly enough that in 1853 the city was named after him, but by 1865 all Indians were banned from living within the city borders. So,
Even when Prohibition was repealed here, they had all kinds of crazy rules they made up, like blue laws and whatnot. And one of the unofficial rules was that you would not serve a Native American liquor. This was in I'm talking about the 30s.
Right.
Here in Seattle, it's crazy to think about
Yeah.
that was actually like a rule.
but yeah, so I don't know. Next week we got to talk about where we're at. We're running out of stuff.
Yeah, so we're going to be at
but we'll-
Jules Mays, I believe, our
we got-
next one.
Oh, and there's plenty of rich history there.
Yeah.
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 We're going to unpack.
We've recorded at Central, tonight at Merchants,
Yep.
Jules Mays,
Yep.
and then the J&M. And all four of them proclaim themselves to be the oldest, but of course, we're doing this, starting off season 2 with this 4-part series to get to the bottom of who is the oldest.
Is that the
Nice.
quadumvirate? Is that what that be? Was that what that be?
So instead of triumvirate, quadumvirate.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Nice.
Right?
All right,
Four.
this was a fun one, guys. You want to knock it on the head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
I gotta
let's
get
knock it on the head.
I gotta get myself another frosé, man.
All right, Satan's Pilgrims, take us out. And until next time, cheers.
Adios.
Thanks, Lou. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, guys. See you later.